Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 184 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we're going to work on getting the crawler upgraded with construction bots and test out our new jetpack. Enjoy! We can use this as an opportunity to curate our inventory a little more. So it looks like we want to have our brass plates, and it looks like that was an oversight, and it might be nice to give bots a couple more parking options, just in case they want it. But let's add a provider chest with one slot right there. And there we go. Looks like we already had a rule for it. And anything else here? Well, the tin plates, I guess it depends on what they go into. Actually, not that much, besides transport belts. And the wire. We'll probably just have to get the inventory cleared out, then see what life is like with the items that are being supplied, to figure out which resources we actually need to have in our inventory and which ones we can get by without. Because it all just depends on the things that we're making. So, we'll have to play it by ear. The main idea is that we don't want to have a full inventory, so as long as it's not completely jam-packed, then we're doing okay. We can grab some of this bronze here. And might as well put a parking spot in there. And now they're topping us off on bronze. One thing we use a bunch of is wires. And we can upgrade to substations. Seems like another slightly misplaced technology that perhaps it could have gotten by just by being green science, because it doesn't require anything particularly special. But that'll give us a range of 18 by 18. Then if we add brass and see more white circuits, which seems odd, it'll be 24 by 24. So why not? And then the power pole 3s require titanium and pink science, so we won't be doing any of that. But we can do the tier 2s, and just remembered that we did the research for construction bots, and it looks like our crawler is all the way down here, so I'm gonna walk down here and get it. If I drive down there with a car, then the car will be stuck down there. And actually, I know we keep adding research in here, but one thing we can do is Jetpack, which is a really neat mod. Basically, it's a 2x2 item that fits in your inventory, and it lets you fly. You have to use rocket fuel, nuclear fuel, or processed fuel, so there is that limitation, but we already have rocket fuel. And it's a pretty simple item. It seems like it also should be green science considering the resources that go into it. But let's hit that. And the next tier we can also do, which is the one I think probably should have been blue. But that also takes those big electric motors, which we have. And it just goes faster. But let's grab those so I can show those off. It's a really cool mod. You'll never walk anywhere ever again when you have a jetpack. There's still so much wood in there. Well, we can't have the bots handling that quite yet. But we got lots of logistics items we can add in here. We'll just make this thing by hand. Let the robots deliver the resources to us. Because this thing comes with a big grid. In fact, it's probably almost a cheatingly large grid, considering this is only a 2x2 item. Because that could even fit inside the car. And it immediately charges up because of the burner generator. But let's try to mirror the original capacity of this thing. So let's actually put that over there. So one of these had a limit of 50. Let's see, what would be the limiting factor first? Actually, it's probably the number of robots that can charge. Because each one of these does 2, so we originally could do 6 robots charging at a time. Yeah, I have the feeling this is going to be a little overpowered, considering the size of the trunk, but it's also a really slow vehicle, so I think that makes it okay. So that'll potentially give us the same number of charge ports, but really the limiting factor here is how much power can we create. And actually, with all of these solar panels, it'll end up being quite a lot. Because you can really mash these in here. So is the crawler coming back? Because we tend not to use it as much. Only in the biggest of construction tasks. Because of how slow the bots are, but now, with all of this capacity, it might be a little more useful. In fact, we might have so many solar panels that perhaps the burner generator will no longer be required. Well, we can figure out how many bots we can support by figuring out how many solar panels and batteries we need. Let's see, what was the ratio of solar panel to battery here? Well, if a solar panel puts out 80 kilowatts, we can calculate this. Where it's 80 kilowatts times 60 seconds times 15 minutes as 72,000 or 72 megajoules. And that's 75. So it looks like it's a 1-to-1 ratio, and I kind of remember that. But our total output is going to be half of what the solar panel is, because it needs to be twice as powerful to handle the night as well. So we could just kind of keep putting stuff in here. And we need lots of batteries too. Luckily we can make those. Because it would be nice if this thing didn't have to use the burner generator anymore. But then again, having the burner generator will just produce a ton of power and just really ramp up the amount of production that you can do with it. So it still might be worth keeping, especially considering it's really not that big. We might want to put it right next to those other things so we can keep an eye on it. Yeah, we won't really know what our total capacity for bots is until we've got this thing maxed out, and then we can look at the power output and then get an idea of what it can support. And we may not want to have the belt immunity on there, I think because it was interacting poorly with the burner generator. So there we go. That is the full inventory of stuff, which is going to put out, well, 3.2 megawatts. That is not nothing. So we can figure out how many bots that can support by coming in here to our construction robots, and they use, let's just say, 51 kilowatts. So we say our 3.2 megawatts divided by 2, because we have to charge twice as much during the day, so our actual output is somewhat less. And let's multiply that by 1,000 for kilowatts, and then 51 kilowatts for each robot. So this could support, let's just say 30 robots continuously. And as it turns out, the robot limit for 2 of these is also 30. I am curious to try it without the generator here. And let's put that in there and make it a lock slot. The belt immunity equipment might be something that can be put in there again, because it's only 100 kilowatts. But it's nighttime right now, so we can't really test this too much. Let's get an idea of the construction area. The original ones had a 60 by 60, so it was 180 in total. And right now we've got 57, so we need 123 more. So let's add 3 zone expanders there. That looks to be about what it was before. We might want to put even more in there if it can handle more. And let's try the belt immunity equipment. And we've got our shield. But other than that, that should be most everything. We can kind of put it to the test. because we only have 2% charge right now. If we wait until the sun comes up, then we can give the bots a whole bunch of work to do. A lot of needless work, but nonetheless, it will test them. That we can perhaps try to clear out some forest here. And if it's working properly, the charge level should still go up, even though we're using the bots heavily. We can get rid of those slots right there. And let's see here, we want to give the bots a huge project. So probably want to clear out the entire width of where our bus is here, because this is probably going to need to get cleared out relatively soon. There we go, and just move it back a little bit. Something like that, 13,000 trees. And oh, don't want to waste all our nanobots on that. We may want to expand this area even more. Perhaps change some of this here. We'll have to see how it works, because these bots are going to be very fast. Much faster than what came before them. We got Jetpack 1, but we should probably wait till Jetpack 2. But I guess we could actually make the first one. Let's see, where is it hidden? Looks like under Angel's Exploration. Lots of stuff here we've researched but haven't made yet, but let's make the jetpack. Looks like these batteries are just about to start to charge. And I believe it was a 2-to-1 ratio where one solar panel could supply 2 batteries. So we might have to play around with this and perhaps sacrifice the belt immunity equipment, because we're going to need to take up some space here for the jetpack. This is probably the best we can do. We'll have to see if we run out of power and we have to adjust that. Really, it's just the belt immunity equipment. If we take that out, we'd be perfectly fine. But the jetpack works. That if you have rocket fuel in your inventory and hit J, you go flying. And it's really cool. You fly over things, and it does kind of consume rocket fuel a little fast, but it's pretty neat. And you still can interact with everything. The big thing is if you're fighting biters, that if they hit you, it'll knock you on the ground. So it's not like super overpowered in that sense. But we'll get the second tier of it and show you just how convenient it is to like fly down to the base, pick something up, and then come back up here. Especially useful for situations like this where there's no road. Because man, it's fast. It's basically as fast as the rocket car. So it's like you'd never use the rocket car ever again. But let's see here. This is charging up. Actually pretty fast when you look at it. Because that's a lot of batteries it's got in there. And they're ticking up. So when we put the robots in here, we should see them at work. And there they go. So it's less exciting than all of the construction bots. But those are so much faster, so I'm not sure which one would be a better use of time. The crawler construction robots that move at 15 kilometers a second, or these construction robots that do 35, but many less of them. I'm kind of thinking I would appreciate having more of them. Although this thing is charging just fine. If we threw a burner generator in there, these could handle a whole bunch more. We still can use all these solar panels and whatnot. It's just if we're willing to burn fuel, we will be able to dramatically increase the number of robots we have here. We got Jetpack 2, but let's finish this first. So how about we put in 4 more roboports, which would mean another 60 robots. So when we load up this burner generator with all this fuel. Suddenly everything's charging up really fast. So, even more roboports. And by doing so, the zone dramatically expands in size. And suddenly we have a lot more robots. That looks better. So how many bots could we support with a burner generator? Well, 7.5 megawatts, which can run all the time, plus half of the solar output. Let's say 1.25. So we have 8.75 times 1,000 to make it kilowatts, and then divided by, I believe, 51 for each robot. Which means it can handle quite a few. 170. Well, in that case, it might be worth just cranking this up, because these guys are fast. Using a lot of power, but that is quite alright. Because fast is good. Well, we have these area expanders. We might as well keep using them. As well as the belt immunity. Looks like we only have space for one more roboport without cutting into our grid here, but I feel like we should cut into the grid. Oh, that's funny that the robots travel faster than the truck does, so they can actually charge while you're driving. But if we have the power for, let's say, 150 robots, we should probably have 150 robots. And yeah, we can put down just the robot expanders, but yeah, the roboports probably work pretty well because they have additional charge ports as well. But I don't know. What kind of zone do we have here? I don't know, that's pretty significant. In fact, I can't zoom out any more than this. So having a range that's more than I can see, where I would have to go into the map to see, seems kind of excessive as far as the zone they can support. So in that sense, perhaps we should just build the robot expanders here. So how many would we need? We would need 6 of them. They annoyingly require solder and components and whatnot, because it's a electronics item. So we'll just run up here and make it by hand. Oh, and I guess we can make that second tier of jetpack. So we probably should grab the one out of our inventory, because we need 2 of them to go into Mark II, which probably makes sense because it's probably twice as fast. So let's put this speed to the test. Let's say we forgot something in the main base. Here's what it's like when we're walking. And here's the jetpack. I don't think it's necessarily faster than a train. It almost feels like it. Because man, it goes. It's definitely faster than the car. Is it buzzing through our rocket boosters? Eh, kinda. But so it's pretty cool. It's definitely the fast way to travel now, unless there's a train right where we need it. But even this will allow us to fly to where the train station is. It also allows you to jump over buildings that perhaps can't be walked over. which can help because certain designs are very inconvenient. It's kind of funny how it shows the splash on the water as you fly through it. There's the science bus. And we're back here. So yeah, that jetpack is staying equipped. Because it is really cool. And we'll have to pay attention to power. It's possible that we might find ourselves running out of power. In fact, I can tell that we already will. Because belt immunity is 100 kilowatts, but we're only producing 180 with the solar panels. And since we need 200 to keep this powered, it means over time we are going to run out. So the only way this is going to work is if we cut out a battery. The question is, will it hold out missing that battery? Well, we might run out of power to begin with, but we'll see. I think flying is definitely more valuable than belt immunity. So if it comes down to that, it's getting cut out. Okay, well at the end here, we need to plop in some controls, and we need an additional one, so let's just take this battery out. So we can pop that one in there. And I don't know how the generator works as far as which one gets priority, the solar panels or the burner generator. You would hope the solar panels would, but they might not. So having all these solar panels here might be kind of useless with this. But then again, there's also kind of a functional limit to how big of an area we want our robots to be able to access. So we need yet another 60. Let's see, I think this kind of answers the question about priority. Because see how the generator is still consuming power? Even though we have batteries? It's because of this belt immunity. That's kind of the whole reason I took it out to begin with. So you come here and it's still going down, but a lot less fast. But I think that means that all of these solar panels are kind of worthless when you have the burner generator. I wish there was something on here that you can set to say its priority. But that's okay. I mean, if it runs out, at least it'll have these solar panels. And I guess we can put that in there. Well, we've got a new setup here. Let's find some more trees to remove. It's actually not that many. Boom. Well, I definitely approve. Those are much faster than the other ones. Let's see what happens when they all come in to recharge. And there they go. Let's see how quickly they do this. Yeah, they did it pretty well. Well, I have to say, it seems pretty fast. I think this is a good setup. So the crawler remains useful. And luckily, these guys are fast enough to where I don't have to babysit them like the earlier bots. They just work pretty well. I would say that's a worthwhile upgrade. Well, and it seems like the generator is doing its best to keep up. Certainly when they're all charging simultaneously it can't, but it keeps up otherwise. Looking good. We might as well clear these trees out too while we're here. And of course the local bots are helping out too. Boom. We should probably drive that thing back to base and finally clear out its inventory. Too bad the crawler can't fly. Or we can't pick it up with our jetpack. We have to go back the old-fashioned way. We have 91,000 wood to deliver. That seems pretty significant. It seems like we're producing a lot of wood, so the factory should appreciate this delivery. If it'll even fit in the warehouse. Kinda. Just barely. But it's in there. I guess we can use our jetpack here to quickly get to where we need to go to unload all of these random resources still inside the crawler. Because we got stone there. Of course, we'll have robots doing this before too long, but for now, we gotta do it. Pretty convenient. And that's the end of this episode. On the next one, we're going to work on getting power poles and substations added to our new bus. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.